Okay, hello. My name is Diane Nowd. Welcome to Storytime, and I have a couple of my all-time favorite holiday books to share with you today, and I hope you enjoy them. The first one is called The Christmas Wreath, and it's written by James Hoffman and illustrated by Jack Stockman. It was written about 30 years ago, but I think it's a classic. It kind of talks about the magic of Christmas. The elves' work was done for the year, and they were tired. They were too tired to put up their own tree on Christmas Eve. They knew Santa would be disappointed when he returned, but they had barely finished the last sleigh load of toys. "How about a wreath?" yawned Chief Elf. The truck-making elf just snored. The doll maker tucked a doll pillow under her head and sighed. The other elves blinked and shrugged. The last few nights, they had even made toys in their dreams. Chief Elf gathered his last bit of energy to make a wreath from scraps of workshop materials, pine boughs, a berry or two, and a leftover candy cane. Even the wreath looked tired. As he hung the wreath on the workshop door, Chief Elf said to himself, "Oh well, it's the thought that counts." Late that night, a hungry polar bear smelled the pine boughs and peppermint and thought of food. She followed the scent to the door where the wreath hung. As the polar bear rose up on her hind legs to take the candy cane, she bumped the wreath, which fell off its hook and slipped over her head. A very surprised polar bear now wore a wreath necklace. She tried to get it off, but the more she wiggled and shook, the tighter it became. Perhaps, she thought, it would come off in her world of ice and water. She lumbered across the ice and dove to the bottom of the bay, through golden kelp and glistening seaweed. Still, the wreath did not come off. Instead, it collected strands of seaweed and sea flowers, and a small silver fish got tangled in the bough. Each time she came out of the water to breathe, the Arctic air froze the water on the wreath. Layers of ice were added, trapping underwater sea life in each layer. Soon the polar bear grew tired. She climbed slowly onto the frozen, icy shore to rest. In the moonlight, shafts of green and blue and silver and gold reflected off the wreath. The polar bear would have been proud of her necklace if she knew how beautiful it now was. But she had to get it off. It was so heavy. She tried to snag it on jagged rocks and then tried to get it off on a fence post in the reindeer yard. Nothing worked. In desperation, she went back to the workshop door and stretched up, scratching the wreath against the door. Remarkably, the hook that Chief Elf had used caught the ice on the wreath, and the polar bear was free. She fled happily, rid of her icy necklace at last. Up above, Santa and his sleigh and reindeer were nearing home. Below, he saw dazzling rays of colors that shone like beacons to guide his way. As Santa and the reindeer drew closer to the workshop, they stared in wonder at what they saw. On the workshop door hung a wreath wrapped in ice crystals, shimmering and glittering in the moonlight. The familiar jingle of reindeer bells woke the elves. They were still half asleep as they stumbled out to greet Santa. They, too, were amazed to see the wondrous creation on their workshop door. The elves looked at each other in surprise when Santa thanked them for the beautiful wreath. They'd created a jewel-like Christmas wreath, an ice sculpture. How and when had they done that? The chief elf stroked his beard. How had his tired wreath become so glorious, he wondered. He remembered putting out a scraggly little, mess. He smiled as he gazed at the icy beauty, wondering about miracles and Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. And that's the end of my first one. My second one is about an old friend that you may know, Bear. Bear and his friends have a lot of stories. This one is called Bear Stays Up for Christmas. It's written by Karma Wilson and illustrated by Jane Chapman. And it kind of demonstrates what the holidays are really about, friendship and caring for each other. So here we go. Bear Stays Up for Christmas. The day before Christmas, snuggled on his floor, Bear sleeps soundly with a great big snore. "Dear Bear, get up!" Mouse shouts in his ear. "We won't let you sleep through Christmas this year." His friends are all there, gathered in his lair, and the bear wakes up. He stands with a stretch and a great big sigh. "I hope I can make it. I do want to try." "Don't worry," squeaks Mouse. Hare says, "It's all right. We'll keep you busy all day and all night." He tries to lie down, but his friends all frown. So the bear stays up. "Come on," says Badger. "Time to follow me. In Pine Grove Glen, there's a fine Christmas tree." So they stomp through the woods and they tromp down the track. They hoist up the tree onto Bear's big back. He plods very slow as they trudge through the snow, but the bear stays up. Back at the cave, Gopher brews mint tea, and Mole pops corn to string upon the tree. Raven and Wren bake a fresh fruit cake. The friends do their best to keep Bear awake. His shoulders start to stoop and his eyelids droop, but the bear stays up. They hang up their stockings by warm firelight and hum Christmas songs like "O Holy Night." They cuddle and sing as they wait for the sun. But soon, all the voices fade to just one. A bright star glows while his good friends doze, but the bear stays up. Bear giggles and grins. He works and he raps. He bustles and bakes while everyone naps. He piles up presents under the tree, but who's at the doorway? Bear doesn't see. He toils all night until the sun rises, making his friends their Christmas surprises. Just before dawn, he lets out a yawn, but he still stays up. When Christmas arrives so lovely and white, Bear's friends awake to a glorious sight. Presents and goodies are piled up tall. "I stayed up," says Bear, "just to share with you all." As his friends shout with glee, Bear lies by the tree, but he still stays up. Wren flies to the stockings and tweets out a cheer. "Besides our bear's presents, Santa was here." When all gifts are open, there's one last surprise. Badger shows Bear a quilt just his size. Bear snuggles up tight and mutters good night. Then Bear falls asleep. His friends tidy up and slip from the lair. They whisper, "Sweet dreams, Merry Christmas, dear Bear." And that's the end. I hope you enjoyed these as much as I do. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Joan Pease, and I'm going to share a couple of my favorite holiday books with you this morning. The first one I'm going to read is Santa Mouse, and this book is by Michael Brown, and the copy I'm holding is over 40 years old. And here we go. Once there was a little mouse who didn't have a name. He lived in a great big house, this mouse, the only mouse in the whole wide house. He used to play a game. He'd daydream he had playmates who were friendly as could be. They would bring their dolls and dress up and have tea, or maybe play cowboys or Eskimos or Spaniards. But when he tried to touch them, poof, like a bubble, they would vanish. Now, through the year, this little mouse had saved one special thing, a piece of cheese, the kind that makes an angel want to sing. On Christmas Eve, he brushed his teeth, and as he washed his paws, he thought, "My goodness, no one gives a gift to Santa Claus." He ran to get his pretty cheese, and after he had found it, the paper from some chewing gum, he quickly wrapped around it. And then he climbed in bed and dreamed that he was lifted high. He woke to find that he was looking right in Santa's eye. "I thank you for my gift," said Santa. "Tell me what's your name." "I haven't any," said the mouse. "You haven't? That's a shame. You know I need a helper as I travel house to house, and I shall give you a name. I'll call you Santa Mouse. So here's your beard, and here's your suit, and here's each tiny shiny boot. You mustn't sneeze, and don't you cough. Just put them on, and we'll be off." Then over all the rooftops on a journey with no end, away they went together, Santa with his tiny friend. And so this Christmas, if you please, beneath the tree that's in your house, why don't you leave a piece of cheese? You know who'll thank you? Santa Mouse. The end. Now, I have a second book to read for you here. This book is called The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas, and the author is Barrett. And again, this book is more than 40 years old. I've read both of these books to both my own daughters and to their children, my grandchildren. The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas. While the rest of the world is getting ready for Christmas, bears are getting ready for bed. In fact, from a quarter till winter till about half past spring, bears do nothing but sleep. Hibernate, we call it. Most bears have never heard of Christmas. Henry Bear was sleepy even on a wide-awake day, but now that fall was here, Henry was very tired. If it hadn't been for his roommate, Henry probably wouldn't have been able to wake up for work. Ted Edward Bear was Henry's roommate. Ted was a different sort of bear. He had an inquiring mind. That means he was very curious. And the thing that made Ted most curious was Christmas. "Henry, have you ever heard of something called Christmas?" Ted asked. Ted E. Bear first read about Christmas in a book at Grizzly University. He tried to explain it to his friend Henry. there is a place called Christmas where you hear beautiful music and you find wonderful gifts. There's a big human with a white beard and a red suit. He's in charge of Christmas. Isn't that amazing, Henry? Henry did not have an inquiring mind. He was fast asleep. The other bears laughed. "Are you kidding?" giggled Foster Bear. "A big red human? You're a silly dreamer," sighed Patty Bear. But Ted Bear went right on dreaming. He dreamed of being the first bear to find Christmas. This could be as important as Admiral Bear's discovery of the East Pole, Ted declared. Unfortunately, Ted was daydreaming when he was supposed to be working, and a problem happened. Ted's boss was furious. "Explain this honey mess," he yelled. "Well, sir," Ted began, "I was thinking about Christmas and the honey sort of got away from me." The owner of the organic honey work factory fumed. "A bear should not think about two things at once. I didn't get where I am by thinking." "I know," agreed Ted, "but Christmas is supposed to be a wonderful place. There are lights and music and a big human in a red suit." "Then go find it," Ted's boss interrupted, "and wherever it is, stay there." Teddy Bear studied the airline schedules. He hoped a flight might take him to Christmas. "Where would you like to go?" asked the ticket clerk. "I would like to fly to Christmas," Ted answered, "or at least a nearby airport." The ticket bear stared at Ted. He began to laugh, and the laughter grew to a roar. He shouted to the line of waiting bears, "We've got a bear who wants to go to Christmas." More bears laughed. While the rest of the bears flew off to winter hibernation vacations, Ted E. Bear set out on foot to find Christmas. One sleepy evening, Ted climbed over a hill and saw a brightly lit city. His heart jumped. "I must be getting close to Christmas," he said. When he reached the city, Ted tried to talk to several passerbys. He shouted, but the cars and people made so much noise, no one could hear the little bear. "Wait, what's that?" Ted listened. Over the noise of the traffic, he heard beautiful music. The sound came from a magnificent building. Ted scrambled up the steps and looked inside. A choir sang. The young bear decided it must be the music of Christmas. "If I can hear the music," Ted thought, "Christmas must be very close by." His heart beat faster. He rubbed his sleepy eyes and walked down a busy street. He glanced in a store window and stopped in amazement. The young bear had never, ever seen such beautiful gifts. "These are the gifts of Christmas," he shouted. He pushed open the door and climbed into the store to talk with the toys. "Is this the place where Christmas is?" Ted asked eagerly. "Not here," a toy soldier said and saluted smartly. Ted was very confused. Ted turned to a pretty dancing doll and said, "I heard the music, and you are the most beautiful gifts I have ever seen. How far away can Christmas be?" "Oh, it is very close," the doll replied. "But somebody must buy us before the store closes, or we'll have to go back to the toy factory for a whole year." Ted noticed a little girl looking in the store window at him. "What about her?" he asked. "I don't think she can afford us," said the soldier. Then Ted heard the click of a lock, and the lights in the store began to go off. "Oh no," cried the doll. Ted was trapped in the store where Christmas wasn't. He tried every door and window. They were all locked. Then, back in the stock room, where the toys would have to wait until next year, Ted spied a window up high. He reached and he stretched and he climbed and he got to the high window and tumbled out into an alley. Ted picked himself up, dashed to the street, and kerbump, he ran smack into a big human with a white beard wearing a red suit. Ted E. Bear was wide-eyed with wonder. He held his hat politely and said, "I am looking for a place called Christmas. Can you help me?" The man in the red suit held Ted in his arms. "My goodness," he chuckled. "Do you realize you're the very first bear to ever find Christmas?" "Yes, sir," Ted nodded. "Well then," said the kind gentleman, "let me explain. Christmas is a way of giving. It's a way of sharing, a way of loving." Ted appeared puzzled. "You mean it isn't a place?" The man smiled. "It is, little bear," he said warmly, "but the place is in your heart." Ted frowned, a tired frown. "That's very hard for a little bear to understand," he said. "It is hard for people to understand too," the gentleman said. He handed Ted a note. "Here," he said, "this is an address where you will find Christmas." Tired Teddy Bear thanked the man and walked down the street. The building at the address didn't seem to be anything special. Can this be the right address, Ted wondered. He looked up. A few lights flickered in a window above. He climbed the stairs to the house. Teddy Bear stood in the room with the lit tree. He yawned and looked about. The gifts were not nearly as wonderful as those in the store, and there was no music. "This must be a mistake," Ted said aloud. The little bear was very tired. All the rest of the bears had been asleep for weeks. Ted crawled under the tree to rest, just for a minute. As he rested, a door opened, and a little girl tiptoed into the room. It was the same little girl who had looked at Ted through the store window. Her eyes opened wide and sparkled with a happy tear. "A little bear," she whispered. She reached down and lifted Ted into her arms. And suddenly, the air was filled with beautiful music, and the lights on the trees shimmered, and Ted Edward Bear had known that he had found Christmas. And he still lives with that little girl today. And my wish for you all is that you find Christmas in your heart this year too. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Lunenburg Storytime. My name is Jane Rabbit, and I will be reading 2 books today. The first is called Santa Bruce, and as you notice, Claus is crossed out because this Santa is a bear and his name is Bruce. The man that wrote and illustrated this book is Ryan Higgins. Just to give you a little information about Ryan, as a child, Ryan subsisted on cartoons, cheese, sandwiches, and tree climbing. At the age of 4, he decided to be a cartoonist, and he's been creating his own stories ever since. He lives and works in southern Maine with a menagerie including dogs, cats, geckos, tortoises, and his wife and his animal-loving kids. Okay. Bruce was a bear who did not like the holidays. He used to stay in bed all winter long and skip right through the whole business, but his family wanted to enjoy a cozy, snow-filled Christmas together. This is going to be a great Christmas. No migrating, no hibernating, just family. So Bruce was awake. Actually, bears don't hibernate. They spend the winter in a state of lethargy, which is a lack of energy and enthusiasm, which describes this bear. Shh, you're ruining the Christmas spirit. I thought we were spending winter in the state of Maine. The geese had decked the halls. The mice made lots of eggnog. The holiday season was going to be filled with fun and cheer. Bruce did not like fun. Bruce did not like cheer. Bruce did not like fun or cheer. He was a grump, I guess. Bruce also did not like being cold, which is why he started wearing long underwear and a warm hat. And then it happened again. The raccoon asked him, "How are you, Santa?" Another case of mistaken identity. Bruce did not like mistaken identities. "No, I am not. Go away." "Oh my gosh. I met Santa. Wait right here while I go get my friends." And then Bruce said, "Wait, I'm not Santa." Bruce decided to ignore the problem until it went away. And on the door, you can hear knock, knock, knock. It got worse. Did I hear someone knock? Who could it be? We should let them in. No, don't open the door. I don't want all their dirty little feet in my house. And there's all the animals with their dirty little feet. And worse, they're all calling, "Santa, Santa, Santa." Tell them I am not Santa. Everyone, listen up. Single file, no pushing. Santa Bruce says time to see all of you. Who wants cocoa? And worse. Soon word spread, and all of the little critters of the forest wanted to visit Santa Bruce. The first one said, "I want 99 red balloons for Christmas." And it was a porcupine, so he probably wanted to pop the balloons. The second one, the mouse said, "For Christmas, I want world peace." The moose said, "I want a race car." "I've been very good this year. Can I please have a power compound miter saw for Christmas?" That, of course, was the beaver. Finally, they all went home, and Bruce could grumble in peace and quiet. But not for long. Knock, knock, knock. Because all the parents wanted to thank Bruce for his Christmas spirit. Bruce tried to tell them that he didn't have any. "Bah, humbug," he said. That's when Thistle made an announcement. And Thistle, I guess, is his housemate, and he's a little mouse. "Bruce wants to say you're welcome, and what's more, Santa Bruce is going to deliver presents to all of your kids tonight. It's a Christmas miracle," said the other mouse. And with that, the parents left, shouting out with glee. Bruce did not like glee. Finally, Bruce headed to bed. The mice had other ideas. "But what about getting ready for your big night? Yeah, what about the children?" Bruce put his foot down. "I am having nothing to do with this. I will not deliver presents. Besides, you don't have a sleigh. But the mice were persistent. Ta-da! Well, you don't have reindeer either. And their sled was very innovative. It was a toboggan with a wagon rope to it. So, pretty neat. The geese were helpful. They were all of the reindeer. Fine, fine, but there are no presents. And everyone was ready. By the way, what's in the boxes? Crackers. I'm still not going, said Bruce. Please, all you have to do is sit in the sled. We'll give you chocolate eggs. Finally, the grumpy old bear agreed to be Santa Bruce for one night, and everyone was very happy. And then the mouse said, I think we have too much weight in the sled. The poor geese were having a hard time. Well, everyone was happy except for Bruce. This is going to be the best Christmas ever. Being Santa Bruce was not an easy job. He had a hard time squeezing down some chimneys. He got a little burned going down another. He tripped on a train. And then he ate something that he thought was a cookie. And the mouse said, that's not a cookie, that is soap. And then he put one present in a post office box, which was on a tree. And it went down to a rabbit family. There was Mama Bunny, Papa Bunny, baby bunnies, and grown-up bunny who still lives with his parents. And by the time Santa Bruce finally finished, the early morning light was creeping over a white Christmas. And as all of the critters of the forest awoke, they found presents waiting for them from Santa Bruce. Bruce had spread the spirit of Christmas all over the forest and brought everyone happiness. Merry Christmas, Bruce. Bruce did not like happiness. He liked sleeping. But Bruce's bed would have to wait. I'm sleeping through next Christmas, said Santa Bruce. And then the mouse said, let's do this every year. And the goose said, honk. So I think he liked that idea too. Okay. The second book that I will read is Over and Under the Snow. The author is Kate Messner and the illustrator is Christopher Silas Neal. And as I said, it was Over and Under the Snow. Over the snow, the world is hushed and white, but under the snow is a secret world of squirrels and snow hares, bears and bullfrogs, and many other animals who live through the winter safe and warm under the snow. Over the snow I glide, into the woods, frosted, fresh, and white. Over the snow, a flash of fur, a red squirrel disappears down a crack. Where did he go? Under the snow, Dad says. Under the snow is a whole secret kingdom where the smallest forest animals stay safe and warm. You're skiing over them right now. Over the snow I glide past beech trees rattling leftover leaves and strong, silent pines that stretch to the sky. On a high branch, a great horned owl keeps watch. Under the snow, a tiny shrew dodges columns of ice. It follows a cool tunnel along the moss, out of sight. Look, Dad says, tracks. Tracks always tell a story. Over the snow, a deer had crossed our path. Deep hoof prints punched through the crust up the hill under a tree. An oval of melted snow tells the story of a good night's sleep. Under the snow, deer mice doze. They huddle up and cuddle up against the cold in a nest of feathers and fur. Over the snow I climb, digging in my edges so I don't slide back down. Under the snow, voles scratch through slippery tunnels, searching for morsels from summer feast. And a vole kind of looks like a fat mouse. Over the snow I swoosh. Down, down, faster, faster, down, faster, faster. Whoops! Under the snow, a snowshoe hare watches from a shelter of spruce. Almost invisible, she smooths her fur, a coat of winter white. Over the snow I glide, past reeds where tadpoles play tag in the springtime. Under the snow, fat bullfrogs snooze. They dream of sun-warm days back when they had tails. Over the snow, I stand and stare. Little mountains in the marsh. Under the snow, beavers gnaw on aspen bark, settled in for supper. Can they hear my tummy rumbling too? Over the snow, stop, a sound. We stand like statues carved in the ice till a bushy-tailed fox steps from the thicket, tips his ears to the ground, listens, listens, listens still, and leaps out onto the snow after an invisible dinner. His paws scratch away to find the mouse he heard scritch, scratch, scratching along underneath, under the snow. Over the snow I glide. A full moon lights my path to supper. Under the snow, a chipmunk wakes for a meal. Bedroom, kitchen, hallway. His house under my feet. Over the snow, I climb one last hill. Bonfire smoke rises. Warm hands, hot cocoa, hot dogs sizzling on pointed sticks. Under the snow, a black bear snores, still full of October blueberries and trout. Over the snow, the fire crackles and sparks, shooting up to the stars. I lick sticky marshmallows from my lips and lean back with heavy eyes. Shadows dance in the flames. Under the snow, a queen bumblebee drowses away December all alone. She'll rule a new colony in the spring. Over the snow, I glide home on tired legs. Clouds whisper down feathery snowflakes. Under the covers, I snuggle deep and drift into dreams of cuddling deer mice and slumbering frogs, hungry beavers and tunneling voles, drowsy bears and busy squirrels, and the secret kingdom under the snow. And just as a little aside, there really is a secret kingdom under the snow. Scientists call it the subnivean zone. It's a network of small open spaces and tunnels between the snowpack and the ground. It's created when heat from the ground melts some of the snow next to it and leaves a layer of air just above the dirt and fallen leaves. If you go cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or even walking in the woods, you might see tracks in the snow that lead to tree trunks or crevices and then disappear. Look carefully. Those tracks probably tell the story of an animal from the subnivean zone, the secret kingdom under the snow. And that's my 2 books for Lunenburg Story Hour today. I wish you all happy holidays.